Hello, thank you very much for your participation. My name is Vincent and I'm in charge of the marketing and sales of the SIRFULL Welding software. And I am a welding representative at SIRFULL. Thank you for your participation in this webinar dedicated to welder certifications. Firstly, I would like to know if you can hear me well. Is my sound clear for you? Can you give me your answer in the chat room, please? Can you give me a feedback? You can raise your hand with the application, or you can. Excellent, thank you very much. I received a feedback from someone, so I suppose that the others have the same clear sound in their speakers. Okay. Normally you can see my screen and we can go with a small disclaimer. Before starting the webinar, I would like to announce that to use some disclaimers. Put your questions in the comment section whenever you want, and I will ask them live at the end of the webinar. So you are free to give me some questions. I don't really know how the box is from your side, but every time I ask to people in webinar to give me some questions, it's really easy. So feel free to ask your questions by text. And very important, this is not a training webinar, so the means is not to give you consulting services for welding, but just to give you some description of what we are doing for the welder certification management and what we improve this with SIRFULL Welding, the application. So let's go with the webinar. Okay, this is the program of the webinar. So in the first part, I'm going to spend a few minutes on the EN ISO 9606, which is the European standard for welder certifications. But in the second part, I'm going to give you my thoughts about the ASME 9. And the third part, why keep a record of welder qualifications. And the most important part, of course, is the SIRFULL Welding demonstration, live demonstration. And we are going to optimize management of some welder qualifications. We are going to renew, extend qualifications automatically with the SIRFULL Welding. We are going to create views, graphs, etc. in the application in order to organize your welder qualifications library. And of course, in the end, if you want, I've got some offers and of course special offers for you. Okay, let's go with the first part. The rules of the qualification test according to EN ISO 9606. The qualification test for welder is defined by the standard, and as you can see, I've put the French one because I got a French presentation this in the next part of the day, but the EN ISO is the standard for all the European country, and this is, and we are going to do the same in ASME, of course. The standard provides a set of technical rules for the systematic qualification test of welder and enables such qualifications to be accepted uniformly regardless of the type of product, location, and examiner or examination body. In the qualification of welders, emphasis is placed on the ability of the welder to manually guide the electrode, torch or welding torch to produce a weld of acceptable quality. The most significant change, so I'm not going to explain to you the specific change we've got here in Europe with the EN ISO 9606, because I think it's not relevant for right now, but you have to know that we encounter here in 2015, yes, it was in 2015, some novelties with this new standard. So the qualification of welder is then based, of course, on essential variables with well-defined thickness range. If the welder must weld outside the scope of his qualification, so the thickness range, a new qualification test is required. So I'm going to give you really some technical insights right now in the first part of the demonstration, but my purpose is to explain to you that we need to organize a lot of variables and data in a library, and it is really complicated to do that with Excel or Word or something like that, and we need a software, a specific software for that, in order to not be blocked or misguided by some mistakes or error in your Excel spreadsheets or etc. So the welder qualification test for butt welds is based on the deposit thickness and the outside diameters of the pipe. However, it is not necessary to precisely measure the deposit thickness or the outside diameters of the pipe. Rather, the general philosophy of the welder's qualification is reflected in the test. Okay. The test must be carried out on a plate or tub or a suitable product form. It must be carried out on butt or fillet welds, and the qualification assembly must be made with a filler metal from one or of the groups according to the table in the norm, of course. For welding with filler metal outside the filler material group, a separate qualification drawing is required. Okay, this is really basic information. And of course, the qualification of the welder must be performed in presence of the examiner or examination body. Of course, the weld position for all qualification joints should be marked on the qualification joint. The shapes and dimension required for the qualification joint are recorded in the norm. And the welder qualification test must be follow the prepared WPS. That's an exception in the European standard compared to the ASME 9. And very important, and this is a very important part, the qualification of the welder starts on the date of welding of the qualification assembly. If the required inspection or tests are being carried out and produce acceptable results, the certificates must be confirmed every 6 months, otherwise it becomes invalid. That's why it's really important to know that. This bi-monthly or confirmation, two times in the year, confirmation must be made by the person responsible for the welding activity or the examination body. The purpose is to confirm that the welder has worked on his area of qualification, the thickness range, and to extend the validity of the qualification for another 6 months. For this monitoring, it is recommended to provide a table for recording the welds made by each welder. We are going to see that in the next part of this session with SIRFULL Welding, of course. The validity of the certificate can be extended by an examiner, of course, examination body, by periodically checking certain skills of the welder. And the welder has a new qualifications test every 3 years or every 2 years, according to some rules that I don't want to explain to you right now because it's going to be too long. The rules of the qualification tests according to the ASME 9. So compared to the first part of the webinar, I'm not going to dive into the ASME 9 properly, but I'm going to give you 3 or 4 main differences in order to avoid certain difficulties. ASME 9 and the EN ISO 9606 to 1, to 4, and to 5 are completely different welder qualification standards despite some similarities. All qualification variables are coded differently both for running position and for filler and base metal groups. That's the main difficulty, I suppose, but with a solution like SIRFULL Welding, you can switch between both standards. If you've got, for an example, if you are really used to the ASME 9 and I don't know, the next day a new client come to you and asks you to build something for in EN ISO standards, it's going to be really tough for you in order to find the proper codification of the material groups, filler metal, etc. But with a solution like SIRFULL Welding, you don't have this problem because you've got a complete library and technical database right in front of you in the software. And the philosophy is completely different in ASME 9 and EN ISO. According to ASME 9, a welder can only be qualified for a WPS qualified for by QR, and this is one of the main definition of SIRFULL Welding, because you will see this in the demonstration. The software encouraged you to create WPS, which is qualified with PQR as a reference. But this is not the case in the EN ISO 9606. You don't need a qualified WPS. You use what we call a WPS, a preliminary WPS. And if the welder passes qualification tests according to both European and American standards, at the same time, each qualification certificates will be modeled according to the requirements and validity areas or thickness range of each code. Okay, this is some the essential steps you need to follow in order to certificate your welder in ASME 9, but I'm not going to dive into this because we need to go to the live demonstration. But why keep a record of welders' qualifications? Most welding standards and codes require you to keep up to date with your welding certificate documentation. We see that just before you need to follow the renewals or extension dates of your welder certifications, and you have to quickly know the availability of your in-house skills. And for that, you are going to use some Excel spreadsheets, like the ones you can see on the screen. Sorry for the noise. I'm going to speak louder for this. Thank you for your disclaimer. Okay, I continue. Okay, so sorry for that. And when you try to improve your Excel spreadsheet, you are going to encounter some barriers or some difficulties, and we are going to help you with that. Of course, Word and Excel can be really limited in order to follow this kind of welder certification, but also this is not the only thing you have to do in a welding activity. You have to write WPS, you have to edit and produce welding notebook or welding data book or technical documentation. And for that, I think this is my position. My decision makers do not prioritize their investments in the equipment of dedicated solutions. And the lack of certification and WPQ requalifications is a long and expensive process that puts welders on the sidelines. What I'm trying to explain here is you need to have some alerts, but in like 1 month or 2 weeks in advance in order to organize the requalifications of your welder certification in order to not be blocked when you have to produce some welds for our clients and not be on the sidelines. And of course, as I said just before, this is only one aspect of what you have to carry out in your welding activity. Okay, we are close to the demonstration. In SIRFULL company, we believe that weld management is far too complex to be left to Excel or non-centralized systems. There is one side of the welding engineer's job that may not be automated or scripted, but there may be another in which it is possible to do so. And this is the last part before the demonstration, but I would like to end the technical part of the demonstration with some risk assessment. When when you are busy in the job, it is easy to see key employees encounter weld continuity problems simply because your team is behind in documentation. Discontinuing certification and requalification is a lengthy and costly process that puts welders on the sidelines, as I said before. Companies are now beginning to integrate their welding produce software with time tracking, job coding, and human resources systems to automatically update welder continuity. The right welding procedures software can prevent welder expiry, welder certification expiry to expired, and to avoid some unnecessary requalification costs, and even help you understand which welder is available with the qualification you need for the next project. Okay, with the demonstration, let's go for that. The system we provide is SIRFULL Welding. It's a software-based application, and you can do a lot of things. Welder certification management is not the only feature of the software, of course, but with this part you can forecast the expiration of your welder's qualification. You can provide necessary reaction time to your welding project, and you can avoid lost or certifications. I'm going to switch to a new screen in order to project you the application, and let's go for it. Okay, normally you can see my new screen and the software. I can see this is the case. So if you can raise your hands in order to give me feedback and confirm that you can see. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. So this is the home page of the software. We are not going to dive into each parts of the software, but only in the WPQ, WPQO parts on the left side of my screen. So SIRFULL Welding gives you the possibility to administrate a library containing all your WPQ, and the goal is to of such library is to make your monitoring easier and allow you to find any WPQ quickly find any WPQ you want, and with a great accuracy. Okay, you can see on the left of my screen a global list where you can see all your welder certification in EN, ISO or ASME standard. And you can open in a more wider screen your list of welder certification. And of course, you can access the global list by clicking on this button, and you can see and understand the color code or the alert in the software. For an example, the color red is for the welder certification extension date that are expired, and the orange ones are for the what we call the confirmation. And the confirmation is what you do in your in-house. What I mean is you have to extend your certification yourself in the company every 6 months. We are going to open a certificate in ASME 9. So I'm going to open this one. Every formula of the software are compliant with the ASME 9 and the EN ISO 9606. And you are able to import your historical data very quickly with a bulk importation in Excel. So every cells you can see here are created in order to welcome or to import your data in the most compliant way possible. So you can see the identification of the welder certification, and it's really important. You can see the type of renewal of the certification 1, 2, 3, 6 for life, and the start date of the extension. So this is the extension, the 6 months extension, but in some company it's less than 6, it's like 3 months. I don't know why, but sometimes things are like this, and you choose the end of extension. This is, in the software you can organize your welding team. Yes. Okay, I don't have more questions. Okay. Okay, back to the demonstration. You can import all the names and of your welding team, and also your supervisor or inspector, and you can also import the official documentation of the welder certifications. The purpose of these features is to centralize your documentation or written record, and This record will be automatically added in any data book which refers to this welder certification. You can also add it from the SIRFULL Welding WPQ library afterwards. So it's really convenient in order to centralize the documentation, but also to build the welding data book. Okay, this is assembly details, and the assembly details will allow you to give every precision concerning your ongoing WPQ welder certification. A second detail could be useful in case you have a WPQ containing two different monoprocess welds to cover multi-process welds, for instance. Another important part, NDT and destructive tests. So this is fully compliant with the ASME 9, and you are really flexible in order to create new tests for your welder certifications. So every type of welding tests are possible in this type of formula. So in my case, I've got a PT, non-destructive test. No, this is not a PT, this is a VT, visual test, and this is a bend test. The validations, of course, and the validity range or thickness range are it's a really important feature. I'm going to spend a few seconds on this. For every PQ, WPQ, at least one thickness range should be associated. This range or thickness range qualified what makes your research accurate. Whenever you search WPQ, the search will be done considering these data. Therefore, having complete and precise ranges qualified is very important in the application if you wish to fully exploit its potential. The data that you will put in your thickness range or qualified range is totally up to your interpretation of the standard you refer to. But when you create a new thickness range, the thickness range is going to put all the essential data coming from this port and this port in order to save you a lot of time, but you have to adjust your interpretation in order to be compliant. SIRFULL Welding is not able to guarantee or to give you a compliant qualified range every day. You have to be sure for this. But if tomorrow the ASME 9 or the EN ISO 9606 change or encounter some updates, we are going to implement it in the software because it's really, how to say it, important in order to have a compliant formula. But we cannot do that for the moment for the thickness range. And this is another important part of the presentation, the extension list and renewals, but I want to keep it for the next part. But I would like to switch to the EN ISO standard for the moment. So I'll open my list, and I would like to take this one. Okay, EN ISO 9606. Fully compliant, of course. Same with the renewal type, start date of extension, and validity range. Okay. For the EN ISO thickness range, the range is qualified, or the thickness range they are currently built in the application, match the EN ISO 9606 standard requirements for the WPQ port and the EN ISO 14732 standards requirement for the WOPQ welding operator. Sorry. The main variables aimed at by the standard are specified for each field. The different element, okay, it's better with the box. The different elements that can be specified by the users are based on our experience of the best practice. Therefore, they won't necessarily cover every point of the concerned standards, but more likely the most useful ones. Okay, this is another way to explain what I tried to explain in the few sentences before, but now you understand that every part of the thickness range in EN ISO, excuse me, are pre-filled, but you have to adjust, of course. So this is the thickness range for EN ISO, and for the ASME, Really sorry, I've got some. My computer is a bit slow, but you have to understand that I need to launch the software, the webinar application, and this webinar is also recorded for you for a replay. And this is the thickness range for the EN ISO, for the ASME 9, sorry. It is a bit different. That's why I would like to give you some images. Yes, you can see it's a bit different, but everything is pre-calculated and you have to adjust it according to your experience and expertise. Okay, now the extension and renewal of your qualification. In the list of your welder certification, you will assess every extension of the welder certification, and an extension is the signature of the welder certifications that is made within the society or your company every 6 months to confirm it is still usable. And for this, you've got an alert, yes, in red here. We can see that we got 4 expired extension. So 3 in ASME and 1 in 3 in EN ISO and 1 in ASME. In the home screen, we select the WPQ you want to extend and then click on the button int here. A dialog box appears, and on the left side of it, there will be a tab for each WPQ selected. In the main screen, the dialog box will detail what you are about to extend, and it will also allow you to import the new WPQ scan with the new signature, and even the complementary proof if necessary. After you have verified that everything was alright for your welder certification list, you can save and the application will do the rest. But firstly, we can see this is the name of the welder certification, the name of the welder, the standard of the welder certification, and of course, the new, we will be renew this new certification for this date. But as you can see, this is all certifications, and we are going to extend for 6 new months. And for this, the software can find a weld in the preparation or in the projection library of the software, but we can see that the welder, nothing is recorded in the software. But it's not a problem. You can import the scan if you know that the welder has properly performed a weld that fit or match the thickness range of its welder certifications. But you can also import the WPQ scan and the proof, and you click on save. Are you sure you want to scan? Okay, you're going to continue. Yes, okay. And we've got a new confirmation date. For the renewal, this is the same, approximately the same operation, but in this part, the renewal is made by an external organism or certification body every X years to renew the official validity. The renewals list will function exactly as the extension list above, but the difference is that it concerns the validity granted every X years by the external certification body, and that we need to pay attention to the X button. And this X button that you will need to click on it in order to create a new renewals. And this new renewal end date will be calculated regarding the actual end date of the welder certification validity and the period of renewal and selected in the record. So let's do it. We are going to extend the welder certification for the next 2 years. And I didn't now I know that I can show you this. We can see that the welder has made in the past 2 weld that match the thickness range of its welder certification. So you put the name of the weld, and the weld is coming from the welding tracking table, but we don't have time. I don't have time to show you this because in the software you can properly prepare the welding project, and you can also monitor the production of the welds for one or more projects. So we know that Mr. Reichert got 1 weld that match the WPQ we need to extend. We import the scan, we put a comment, we save, we opened, I would like to open the welder certification, and we can see, okay, the new end of validity. Sorry, I made an accidental refresh, page refresh. We can see the new end of validation for 2023. And of course, the extension renewal list is historized in the section below in the dedicated sections. And I would like to finish this demonstration, but after that, I've got for you some offers and explanation of how to acquire this software. But I would like to show you some dashboards and monitoring solutions in the software. With SIRFULL Welding, you can perform some really useful dashboards and executive boards like this one. You can monitor the welder performance, like this one. We can see the number of welds by welders in the month. We can see the number of welds by machine and the weld status, the number of welds, global welds in the company by months, and the number of welds by equipment. but we can also create specific charts for your welder certification monitoring, like this one. I like this one. This is a histogram when you can see the next end of validations of your welder certification across the time. For an example, we can see that in May 2021 we've got 5 welders that will encounter end of validation. And you can create this graph by yourself. This is really easy to perform that. You perform an unlimited amount of graph in order to create your own dashboards. Okay, let's go back to the PowerPoint, because I need to give you some new information. Okay, this is the global welding and welder performance overviews we saw before. And now this is the time of the offers I would like to show you. So the software is available in the basic and premium modes, and in the first plan you already got the ability to monitor your welder certification here, and you can perform welding book generation and prepare all the weld for a project and located weld on a plan, and prepare your entity for the production of one or more equipment for a client, etc. And in the premium mode, you are able to perform all the monitoring of your welding activities in production, and the compliance or the non-compliancy of your NDT. And in the end, you can create a PDF for your technical documentation and report for your equipment. If you got more questions, don't worry. You can send it right now in the box, and you can send it in the chat room. And don't feel free to ask me more questions. This is the time when you can ask questions. For the basic and the premium plan, we can give you access to 1 to 3 users by default, and we provide you with an onboarding program. Sorry, it's in French, but I'm going to translate to you. We provide you a training session by distance, and we help you to import your historical data during 1 or 2 months. So you are not alone when you start the project. We are here to help you to launch a project in your company. Okay, and the distance learning is done via split screen with our trainer, and this mode of operation is definitely very flexible and easy to implement, and you don't need to be in the same meeting room to benefit from it. You choose your training rhythm, consecutive or spread out days. In the subscription, in the offer I propose to you in premium or basic plans, it includes all year round the support via phone or via tickets. We guarantee the evolution of the application, and also the corrective and evolutive maintenance, and this maintenance is performed remotely. And this is a very quick overview of what's going on when you order the software, when you subscribe to SIRFULL Welding. And then what's going on? After sending back the signed commercial offer from your SIRFULL Welding contacts me, your users information, email, surname, first name, and position in the company, your users will receive their access in their email box directly after 2 days. As soon as the accesses are received, your users are free to connect to the application directly in less than 2 days. At this stage, a SIRFULL Welding trainer will be assigned to you and will contact you in order to arrange a training session, a distance training session during the first month. After that, you are able to transfer your historical data in the most efficient way. And following this training, you are ready to take over your historical data, and your trainer remains in contact with you and your users in order to accompany you in the phase of the appropriation of the application. Okay, this is my last insights for you. For this month, we offer a really interesting offer. Generally, we offer the basic version or basic plan for 3,000 euro per year. So this is the price of the subscription. No other fees or charges. But right now, for every orders that we received before the end of July, the price is 1,500 euro per year. More than that, you order now and you pay in October. And the subscription is only for one user, so it's really useful if you want to start small, if you want to start with just one user, and you can add 1, 2, 3 users during the year or the next year, and the service is the same. You've got the training session, the onboarding program, the support, the maintenance, etc. And we do the same with the premium plan. And the premium plan is not at 7,000 euro per year, but only 3,000 euro per year with only one user, and you can add 1 or 2 or 3, etc. You order now and you pay in October. We train your users in August. You implement your historical data in August or September, and you are ready in October, just before the facturation, the payment. So this is the special offer for July. If you want more information from me in order to make up your mind, please, you can reach me by phone, by email, or we can organize, book an individual demonstration with me if you want more information. So in order to choose if you want or not order the software for your company. And if you don't know right now if you want to do it, you can go to the software here in the solution part of the website and go to demonstration. So if you've got more questions for me, feel free, or I will end the webinar because this is the time for us to leave. But feel free to ask me some questions. I'm going to send you by email this PowerPoint with the replay, the video of the webinar, of course. if you want to book with me an individual demonstration in order to see some other features of the software, feel free to contact me or to ask me right now. But remember, in September, in the end of the month, this offer will be ended. So if you are not, if you would like to, if you know that this software is for you, don't be blocked by the time or the facturation or payment, etc. We got it. You pay in October and you start small and slow and steady in August and September. So I think this is really, to see it, empathic offer, if you can say so. Okay, if you don't have more questions for me, I will end the webinar. Thank you very much for your participation. I'll send you this PDF support by email and the replay video, of course. Thank you very much for your time and see you the next time, I hope. Bye bye.